Fighting and airstrikes in Khartoum continued on Sunday in Sudan, which made representatives from the warring parties to set a meeting in Saudi Arabia for talks to discuss a potential ceasefire, as multiple ceasefires have been broken and not respected since a violent war broke out between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. According to the League of Arab States, an urgent ministerial meeting was held in the Saudi coastal city of Jeddah, where a committee will be formed to communicate with Sudan's warring parties and the international community on reaching a ceasefire agreement. And on the same occasion, the committee announced during the meeting is set to include Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait.
The two resolutions were adopted today, including one on Sudan. One of the main points of this resolution is to form a committee to follow up and communicate from the side of Egypt, Saudi Arabia and the Secretary General in order to communicate with the warring parties and the international community, as it appears in the aforementioned resolution on Sudan.
The first serious ceasefire initiative was organized by the Saudi Arabia and the US to end fighting between the army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces that has turned parts of the Sudanese capital into war zones, derailed an internationally backed plan following years of unrest and uprisings, and eventually created a humanitarian crisis.
The US-Saudi ceasefire initiative to launch indirect talks between Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces in Jeddah to reach a ceasefire agreement really deserves our support. I repeat my appeal to uphold this opportunity and to put forward the interests of the country above anything else, and to also engage in the talks in a way that brings stability to Sudan and preserves the national institutions from collapse, as well as preserving its sovereignty.
Meanwhile, the UN's top humanitarian official Martin Griffiths was also part of the ministerial meeting as he arrived to Jeddah for talks aiming for a ceasefire, and according to Eric Connico, Public Information Officer, the UN's purpose visit is to engage in humanitarian issues related to Sudan. Last but not least, it's worth noting that the ceasefire meeting was quite crucial, as the Sudanese Doctors Union said the fighting had killed at least 700 people, many of whom are civilians, wounded thousands, and led to millions of Sudanese and foreigners fleeing the country.